Do not use AirDna. I promise I'm going to give you multiple reasons why. That if you rely on them for data to pick up a new Airbnb property or to do comps on a property, you will lose money like every single time. I also promise I'm going to give you a better way that anyone can do all over the world, and bonus is it's free. You can do as much research as you like on any type of property in the world, and it's gonna be free. I've done this system for like 8 years, and even though it's not easy as 1, 2, 3, you're going to have to learn something here, so sit down and get ready. It is accurate, and it works. And my students have picked up over 5,000 Airbnbs using this system of market research and competitor analysis. So yes, I'm gonna give you both. Let's begin. Welcome back, Airbnb family. This video is going to correct some misinformation on the internet. To do so, I have to give you something I've never given before, some of my sauce. Now first, the reasons why you should not use AirDna, the reasons why it's bad for your business, is first, the thing you're actually afraid of, which is the data is inaccurate. Let me tell you why. AirDna collects data 3 different ways. 1, they scrape the internet for data. 2, they have partnerships with channel managers like Guesty, Toki, not all of them though. And then 3, you can log into AirDna and get pricing tips. This is their most premium data, but they have almost no listings using this software. Out of the millions of listings on the planet, very few are going to AirDna for pricing information. By doing that though, they get to reach inside your listing and get all of your information, including all of your bookings, how far in advance they booked for, what the prices are, everything. That is really good data. But you may have saw in a recent video about doing analysis on another Airbnb channel here on YouTube, someone was looking at AirDna data and they would go to click on a listing and then the listing wouldn't even exist anymore.
So now let's go to the second one, hot tub and pool. Great. Let's take a look here. Let's open the Airbnb listing. Oh, doesn't even exist anymore. Great, bad data. So now our top 2 comps here aren't even reliable data. So now we know that the highest 3.2 in the 78723 zip code at a minimum is gonna make $88,800. But now I still have to corroborate and make sure that even this data is good. So let's take a look here. Let's open it up on Airbnb. Doesn't exist, not reliable data.
What that shows you is the scraper on AirDna is pulling information from listings that it doesn't have access to. If AirDna had access to that listing through a channel manager or a direct connection, they would have known that the listing had disappeared, and it would not have even populated on AirDna. Further, in that example, I promise this is helpful, that's why I'm bringing up this other video's mistakes. If you pull a listing because it's the best comping listing in a city, makes the most money, and then you click on that listing and it doesn't exist anymore, and you do that for 1, 2, 3, 4 listings, all of the best listings on AirDna don't exist, isn't that a red flag? That the best listings that made the most money according to AirDna's data didn't stay in business? Would you think that profitable listings would stay in business? So for that reason, we cannot rely on past data that AirDna has because the future is now. We want to look at listings today, what they're making today, what they are actually making next week, and AirDna cannot give you that data. They cannot tell you what a listing is making next week. They only go back to see listings that made good money right after COVID. And that's why these listings are going out of business, because within the last year, when it was good and no longer, they failed. But that brings us to number 2. AirDna cannot give you the why a listing is doing good or bad. They'll give you the size of the listing, the amenities, they'll give you a link to the Airbnb listing, which is a start, but AirDna does not say that this listing is doing bad because a host did a bad job. You can only read the reviews, but you can't tell if a host is not changing their prices, or if a host's photos are bad, or if a host's design style is completely amateurish and nobody wants to stay there. There's so much to factor into a listing success that AirDna can't give you. And guys, that should be enough, right? But there's one more. AirDna, as a means to identify good opportunities, cannot tell you what the X factor is on a listing. It can't tell you why a listing is doing better than anyone else for reasons that are just not obvious. For example, changing your prices is something that everybody should do. That can't be the X factor, can it? Having cool amenities seems like something that everybody should do. Can it be an X factor? The fact that the listing is blue instead of green, how could that possibly be the X factor? There's a way to find this out. And the free resource that I want to give you to use today to do all of your research, including X factor research like this, and what I call competitor analysis, is the Airbnb platform. Fire up your laptop. I'm not even gonna look at my computer. I've done this so much. Let me just walk you through this by memory. Fire up your laptop and go to the Airbnb search. When you go to Airbnb's platform and search, you're gonna get a top bar where you can type in a city, date range, number of guests. While you're on this platform, you also see what Airbnb is pushing you. Right now in 2024, it's a lot of staycations. They're gonna take your pin right now and give you stuff that's within a couple hundred miles a lot of times. They'll give you categories at the top. You guys have seen that landing page. But I want you to search for a city. Let's say we search for Dallas in this example, and search for 6 guests and go to I'm flexible. Something I'm going to give you here are some terms that are part of my course, my program. There's something called a global search that we do, which is simply I'm flexible. By searching I'm flexible, it's gonna pull all of the best listings for any range of dates. So pick any week, I'm flexible, and pick every month for the next 8 months and hit go. Now, you immediately have all of the listings that Airbnb's algorithm is pushing. This is a huge advantage against AirDna automatically. AirDna pulls a map of all the listings and all the comps that they think that they've done outside of Airbnb's current algorithm. This is really powerful. AirDna cannot tell you which listings that they're showing you are the ones that are performing best right now, but Airbnb gives you that loud and clear. When you search, it will give you the top 15, 18, 25, 50 listings on the first and second page of search. These are the listings that Airbnb says these are the most likely to get booked. And Airbnb has all of the internal data that we don't get to see to feed the algorithm to give you that. This is data that you can trust. We then want to remove new listings. The reason why is Airbnb does give listings a boost when they're new. So part of this population is Airbnb giving new listings a shot. So take all of the listings that have a good amount of reviews, and we're going to start there. Bonus is none of these listings will cease to exist when you click on them. You're not gonna waste your time looking for stuff that corroborates on one platform to the other. And now I know what you might say, but AirDna gives me all of this data on the listing when I click on it. Yes, so does Airbnb. I'm going to show you how to get that data. Go to the calendar and search. You're going to notice that with I'm flexible, it picked a range of dates. This is another thing I didn't expect to give you, so let's back up. When you go to click on a listing, you're gonna see a range of dates under every single listing. If today is May 1st, for example, which you probably will see this video by May 1st, it should say this listing's available from May 10th to May 15th, or from June 10th to June 15th. Any listing that is available farther in the future implies that their calendar is booked until then. It's giving you the first 5 dates that it's available. So when you look at listings, try not to only look at listings with lots of reviews, but ones that also aren't available for 3 or 4 weeks. That's a sign that they have bookings. This is just going to save you time, because if you click on listings that have no bookings, we can't do the next step that I'm going to show you here. I also need to tell you, we're gonna look at one listing at a time. I have a hack that allows my students to batch a ton of listings together and then visualize that data, also for free. It's so powerful that we use it when we do revenue management too. Not just for market research, but when we go to change your prices and we wanna see what our competition's doing, this hack allows us to create a dashboard to make pricing decisions. That is not free. That's some of my best sauce. You have to join Cracking Superhost if you want me to coach you on the rest of what this video doesn't give you. But commercial aside, let's get back to this next step. When you look at this new listing that you clicked on and you go to its calendar, it's gonna show you the dates that are available. If you go and scroll left or right, you can see what days are booked and what days are not booked. You're going to need to trust that this listing is a full-time Airbnb. If it has a lot of reviews, the host has multiple listings, you can expect this listing to be full-time, because most of the listings that you find at the top of Airbnb's algorithm are full-time listings. If you would like to know why that is, leave that in the comments and I'll answer any questions that you have about the Airbnb algorithm in the comments. And are you ready for something really cool about the calendar? You can see the prices. If you click on a Monday and then click Wednesday or Thursday, you already get a ton of data. You can see if they have a 1-day, 2-day, 3-day, or 4-day minimum length of stay, and you can see their prices for that date range. And when you search for other dates, you can see if those prices change. This is already so much information. If their prices change, that might mean that they're using a pricing software. But it also means that they know enough about this industry to change their prices based on supply and demand. If they're doing that based on supply or demand, or they're using a pricing software, you can go through all of their months and see which months are projected to be their best months. So you can see their peaks, you can see where they're most optimistic on price, you can see where they're driving price down. You can then also see chunks of grayed out dates on their calendar if you pick the right listing, and you can look at the prices before and after, for the weekend before or after, and you can make a good solid guess of what those prices were before they got booked. Because if every weekend is $550 for 2 months, and in there you get a booking for one weekend, you can guess that it was $550 a night for that weekend, can't you? You do this for weekdays, you do this for weekends, and you can start to extrapolate or to infer what prices are. Now you look at all of those blocked out dates and you start to do a little bit of math. Looks like they're getting $200 a night for their weekdays, $400 a night for their weekends. They've got 12 weekdays booked. They've got 10 weekends booked over the next 3 months. You can then use this data to piece together how to get their monthly revenue for the rest of the year. How to do that exactly is a few more steps that would make this a longer video. So if you want me to make this completely black and white and easy to give you all of the math for one listing for an entire year, send me a message on Instagram or somewhere so that way we can have a conversation about market research on a broader level. Otherwise, this would be an hour. But if you get the concept for this, let's move forward. We also want to look for if this listing is making mistakes. For example, if they have dates available over the next couple of weeks, like very near future, and they're still holding on to a 4-day minimum length of stay, or even just a 3-day minimum length of stay, that means they're not responding to the truth, which is that they're running out of time to get bookings, and their length of stay minimums should be changing per strategy. This is a pricing strategy thing that a lot of people skip, is they don't realize that the longer you require a length of stay to be, the less guests can see your listing. This is cool if you want to do this 4 months into the future. I don't exactly advise this. There are other more efficient ways in my pricing strategy to get good results, but even if you did do that, because it makes it simple. Last minute, you can't afford to take that risk. You should be allowing 2-day, 1-day stays even sometimes to get your calendar completely full. If someone's making mistakes like this, or if their hero photo, which is their first photo, is a photo of the bedroom, that's already inefficient. If the photo quality is low, if they have a bunch of redundant photos, if they've got some ugly photos in their listing, there's all sorts of things that we can determine are mistakes on their listing. Every mistake that we're looking for is to try to prove that this is somebody that we can beat. If we can determine that a listing is both profitable and that host is nothing special, then that should give us confidence to get into a market. Because if we're looking at the very best listings and that host is near perfect, we can't pick apart anything wrong with their listing, how confident do you think you are that you can compete with that listing? And this is a serious lesson, my friends. I teach all of my students this. We're not looking for the best listings. We're looking for listings we can beat. If you can do comps and find profitability where you can mop the floor with somebody, then you have an opportunity to do business, because Airbnb isn't just buying a property and letting somebody run it. I know a lot of you would love passive income, and you can get there in time, building systems and building teams. But if you buy a property and then you hire a co-host who you don't know enough about Airbnb to know that this co-host is amazing or not, you give them 25% of your revenue and you give them a property that you think is kind of like the best listing in the city, they won't make as much as the best listing. It's just going to be that way. And then you're going to give them 25% of your revenue and you're going to lose money because you did not know what you did not know and they did not know enough to stop you. And you're going to pay them 25% to run a listing. You think they're going to stop you from buying a property? No, they want you to buy any property and give them the keys. That's how co-hosts work. They're not there to protect you. And then you're going to notice something else, the X factor. Beyond finding listings that are amateurish, that are still making money, you're gonna find a listing doesn't exactly seem special on paper. One that doesn't comp well by all of your standard metrics. Bedroom count, number of bathrooms, total square feet, yard size, the date that it was built, your standard amenities. You're going to find listings that you'd think, wow, this should make an average amount of money because by all of its black and white numbers, it's an average property. But then you find out that it's crushing it. And then you have to look at that listing long and deep. Look for the X factor. Is it their design style? Are they using a certain type of texture or color? Is it plant walls? Are they using brick? Do they have vaulted ceilings? Is there exposed wood? Do they offer things in the property that are eclectic or fun? Is it just that it's the only 4-bedroom property in the neighborhood? Is it just that it's the only studio property in the neighborhood? There are so many things that a listing can have that makes it novel, that makes it unique, and an X factor compared to the competition, or as you could call it, an outlier. When we find outliers that are making tons of money, that don't cost a lot of money to hold, but have a big return, those are the listings we love to copy. Because if there's only 1 or 2 listings in an area that are crushing it for no good reason, and we can find out what that is, we can be the third. And what's so great about these listings that have X factor, a lot of them got lucky. They have no clue what made them so great, they're just making good money. There are some hosts in places like Dallas, San Diego, Miami, who have nailed this recipe. So yes, you'll find X factor listings in these major cities, and it is being duplicated and replicated, and people are crushing. This is what you can do in regular size cities. But to finish the point, these people who aren't that good at Airbnb but got lucky because they have that X factor, you can be a better host than them, but also maintain that X factor that they accidentally gave you the recipe for. There are hundreds of little factors on a listing that if you can see them, you'll know exactly what kind of host they are. You'll know exactly what kind of market they're trying to tap into. And there are things that I would not dare give for free on this video that will tell you exactly how many reservations someone has every single month that you can see for free right on Airbnb. So if you want a serious business-minded approach to starting an Airbnb business, one that is designed to be competitive and put every other Airbnb host out of business, we're not being playful here. We're here to make money, right? If you want to make serious money as an Airbnb host and treat this like a business, then reach out to me. Because even more than being an Airbnb educator on YouTube, I'm a business owner with like 14 years of experience. I built 4 separate 7-figure businesses in many different industries. I coach business as well as Airbnb. And I can take all of that and give that to you. So you will be a great host and business owner. And if nothing else, if you hire a co-host, you'll know enough about this industry that they cannot BS you and put you out of business by accident. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through to the end. Please send me a message on Instagram if you want more information on how to do market research or, of course, anything else. And please leave me a comment with questions about market research, the algorithm, or anything else that you want to know about Airbnb. I'm here to help you guys. As always, my friends, I'll see you on the other side.